Good evening, and welcome to our Pittsford Schools Board of Education meeting. I'm presently calling the meeting to order, and would you please stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? None opposed. Thank you. And this evening, we are pleased to have Lindsay Ali from our Park Road Elementary School present.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all for having me here and for your flexibility with rescheduling. So sorry for that inconvenience, but it's my pleasure to be here tonight and to share some of the great things we're doing at Park Road this school year with all of you. I'm here tonight with Libby Day and Julia Anselm, who are our reading specialists at Park Road, because a little later in the presentation, they're going to share with you some of the amazing work they're doing for some literacy intervention. But I just wanted to get started first with our overall focus for this school year. So our focus this year has really been on continuing our work towards the strategic initiative, but also a lot of our work that we started last year with our culture and really honing in this year on determining Park Road's purpose and what we're all there for that common goal to work on. I chose this picture purposefully. This is our yearbook cover for this school year. It was created by our student council and our art teacher, Mrs. Kirkaby. And I chose it just because I really think it does summarize some of the work that we've done with our purpose and our culture, specifically where it says one child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world. And we've talked about each role that we have in helping change our students' world and our Park Road community world, but how when we come together, we're stronger, we create a more beautiful picture, and we're more productive when we're all working together towards that common goal. So chose this to share with you, and I'm proud of our students for working on that. There's so much this school year to be grateful for, so I want to start with just expressing great gratitude for our new playground. We were so lucky to have a donor provide some new playground equipment for our youngest learners, our kindergartners, and our first graders. And this was really great because they installed it right at the very beginning of the school year. And so our students got to watch it all be teared down and put up and all this new fun, exciting stuff. And I think that just makes playing on it even more fun because they saw the workers and all of the hard work that went into it. We have more swings, we have more slides. It's just a really great new addition to that space where kindergarten and first grade is. So we are so grateful for that donation to the school. We're also really thankful to our amazing PTSA who helped us get some more ukuleles for our music class. Miss Jordan worked with the PTSA and their educational grant to get a few more ukuleles so that we had enough so that one classroom could share one ukulele for two students, so just have partners. They are now learning how to play the ukulele. I've been in many times to hear their music and observe, and it's just so awesome. They are so excited to be able to play some new instruments, and we're just really thankful to the PTSA for helping with that. And lastly, we are so excited about our capital project and our new entryway. Not only is it beautiful and really nice to walk into this fresh new space, but it is definitely more secure. We have the double entry so that we have time to really check our visitors in and know who's entering the building. It's just been really great. So we're so grateful for all of that and those new things at our school this year. When it comes to talking about our work towards the strategic initiative, I'll start with an example for engagement, which was our fun run this school year. It was not only engagement, but a lot of help with our school culture because it was really a lot of fun. We all had a chance to come together. It was just amazing. Our PTSA helped us put this fun run on at the very beginning of the year in October. It was just such a great experience. We raised some money for our school. We spent time outside, moving our bodies, cheering each other on as a whole grade level and as a whole school. It was just a great way for engagement to really kick off a strong school year and that feeling of Park Road pride and community. So that was a great experience for everyone. Another way we've been fostering engagement and authenticity is with our character traits of the month. You heard me talk about this last year. We have a character trait each month that the students are learning about and working on and implementing. We added to that this year student shout-outs and the bulletin board up front. So we still have our whole school assembly that we started last year at the end of each month. Each class chooses one student that represented that theme. We're still doing that, but then we added in some recognition all throughout the month with these student shout-outs. Teachers, faculty, staff, other students, anybody can nominate someone as they're seeing students implement that trait, and they share a little bit about what they saw happening. And then we take some time Friday mornings to share these shout-outs. Students come down and choose a Park Road prize, which they're excited about for really implementing that theme of the month. So it's just helping us not only learn about the traits, but really work hard to implement them every day, and to recognize when we're working hard on that, along with the recognition at the end of the month with our whole school assemblies. So that has been a nice addition to that work. When we talk about rigor, and the work that we're doing, we continue our exploration and use of the amazing strategies in the hub. Teachers are really diving into that and enjoying the work with some of those practices and strategies and using them more regularly. We also continue work with Hegarty and Foundations for our early literacy skills, and those programs have just been really amazing to watch in our K-1 classroom. Students know the routines, they love it, they get excited about it, and they're doing some really great work with understanding the letters, their sounds, how they all work together. So we're still continuing all of that great work. And then new this year, we have a couple grade levels that are piloting our new math program with Amplify. And it has just been a really great experience. The teachers and students alike are loving it. It is very rigorous. Some of the conversations that students are having about math word problems and math number sense and what they're seeing in a story problem has just been really amazing to hear them think and talk about numbers and math and those concepts. All the way, we have first grade and fourth grade piloting it, and I'm seeing similar conversations in first grade and fourth grade. So it's just been a really great experience for us piloting this program, and we really are finding it to be rigorous and a great asset to our work that we're doing. At Park Road, we really encourage all students to just be their true, authentic selves. We not only take time to recognize, but also celebrate our differences and learn from each other and really get to know each other. So we do things like Star Student, where you get to share information about yourself for that whole week. We do morning meetings where we all get to answer the same questions and talk about how we might have different answers or different opinions, and that's okay. We can learn from each other. This is just one example of a fifth grade student who took it upon himself, as students were kind of asking about Lunar New Year this year and wanting to know more information. He offered to create a PowerPoint about some of his experiences and knowledge with Lunar New Year. He shared it not only with other fifth graders, but with his buddy kindergarten classroom, and it was really just neat for not only for him to create that and share it all about the Lunar New Year and his experiences, but also for the students to be able to have some of their questions answered from a peer, which was just a really great way for us to kind of learn from each other. As a school in general, we really focus on getting to know our students well, their needs and their strengths. We focus on growth and celebrating growth for each individual and understanding that that can really look different for every child. And then as a staff, we work really hard on ensuring that we see that growth for each student no matter where they are, so whether that means enrichment or intervention. And so that brings me to Julia and Libby being here with us today, because we are really proud of the work that we've been doing specifically with our literacy interventions, and I'm going to have them share with you some of the work that they've been doing for students in the building.
Hello, and thank you for having us here this evening. I'm Julia Ansel. This is my colleague, Libby Day, and we are reading teachers at Park Road Elementary, and we're really excited to tell you a little bit about our roles there.
So we have the benefit of working with 75 students at Park Road in grades K through 5, and we identify students who need support based on a few different factors. So we utilize the district-wide universal screening measures to determine which students are flagged as in need of support. And we think about this as identifying the students who have a fever, if you're thinking of it in terms of a doctor. And it is our job as the reading specialist to dig deeper to determine or diagnose the cause of the fever and then design the interventions and get to work fixing the fever. So we look very, very carefully at data. We use different data points at each grade level, and we rely on national norms to help us identify which students need a little bit more of a careful look.
So we have spent the past 4 years working to really identify those best assessment resources to help us figure out exactly what students need and then provide that explicit instruction through skill-based grouping. Once we identify that gap, we work with the classroom teachers to form small groups. Within our small groups, we provide that systematic, explicit instruction to meet the needs of our learners. It was a bit of a shift for us to step back and look more closely at those foundational literacy skills, especially beyond the primary grades, like in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. But it's been really exciting to see the results and the student growth. We both received the incredible opportunity to be trained through BOCES letters within the past few years. This 8-day training immensely helped us to clarify and streamline our process for identifying students and providing that support. It also really helped us to facilitate the instructional shift toward science of reading within the classrooms. Oops. Sorry. Within our small groups, our skill-based groups, we monitor progress bi-weekly and then adjust our interventions accordingly. As students master those skills, we really work within the groups to help transfer those skills to reading and writing at their actual grade level.
So our intervention team includes math, reading, instructional challenge, and we meet through our success meetings with the classroom teachers, our school counselor, and Lindsay to discuss the student progress toward the goals and adjust our plans accordingly. We've loved adding Renee to our team this year, and we meet with a full intervention team 4 to 5 times a year to look at our data and then create new groups. So we're proud of our successes, individually and as a building that we have seen through the implementation of all of these processes. So here we're looking at the progress made by all first grade students at Park Road based on the universal screenings given in September and January. And you can see that the students with the highest level of need went from, up in the red, from 29% in September to 22%. And our overall Tier 1 students, that is students meeting the benchmark, went from 62% in the fall to 74% in the winter in our most recent screening, which was just in January. So this shows us that our instruction, it's working, and that we would hope to see this trend continue through the spring. We also take a look at the student growth percentile, which is over here. And we're always aiming to be above 50%, which is to be closing the gap. And you can see that in all of our tiers, our students are indeed working to close the gap. Taking a look at an individual student's process through the whole RTI process, this graph shows where a student began in first grade. The yellow is the student's score, and the orange is the expected score or the benchmark score. This student was identified as being extremely below grade level in kindergarten. And as you can see, this learning to read is an incredibly nonlinear path, and it's unique to each child. So it's important for us to take into consideration all of the data, but as well as the student and the individual. So you can see that in first grade, the student was really struggling. And through second grade, they began to close the gap. In third grade, in the spring, they actually exceeded the benchmark. But through conversation with their teacher, we realized that even though that they were able to perform some of these skills in an assessment, it wasn't yet carrying over to their classroom. So we continued to see this student in a reading support group. Over the summer, they experienced a little bit of a summer slide, which we saw in the fall data. But then again, just now in the winter, the student exceeded the benchmark. And through conversations at our success meetings and with the classroom teacher, we determined the student was now meeting benchmarks in the classroom and able to keep up with all classroom work. So we were able to actually dismiss him from reading support, which while we celebrate it, the student actually had a few tears and asked if he could still come from time to time. And he came today to share with us the book that he was currently reading, which was really a joy to see. So Julie and I just really appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about what we do at Park Road because we just absolutely love our jobs so much. We love being part of the Park Road community and being able to work with such fabulous teachers and students and Lindsay on a daily basis.
So we're using some of that work to also tie in, as she already mentioned, as Libby mentioned, the math lab pieces. And again, new this year, we're really thankful to Heather and Denise Sobel and Melanie who utilizing a new math intervention program. We are very, very lucky this year to have that being implemented by a part-time teacher, Renee, as she mentioned. And again, we're just seeing some really great work. We're using the same kind of systems for identification, and we're creating small groups right now in grades 2 through 5. Sometimes we're able to get some more into first grade, but seeing similar progress on some of that, just closing that gap with some foundational math skills, and we're really enjoying the intervention program that we're using for that as well, and thankful for Renee to be there. So lastly, some of our most important work this year has really been on continuing our school culture. We've been doing exercises from Daniel Coyle's book with the Culture Code, and it's been a great experience for staff to kind of dig through what are our strengths, what are some barriers we have, what are we proud of at Park Road. You'll see on the board some of the quotes directly from staff as we did these activities that I think really do show what our common purpose is. Some that stand out, just that Park Road is student-centered, cooperative, collaborative, and inclusive, a place where respectful learners grow and flourish. We are going to continue throughout this school year doing some more of those practices and really kind of honing in on what is our touchstone, our touch point that we're going to always go back to as a Park Road community for what we're doing each and every day as our purpose. So we're excited to continue to work on that and to use some more of those exercises. And then just looking ahead for next school year, we are really looking forward to incorporating some of the habits of mind into the work we're doing with engagement and with our social emotional learning. We have our SEL committee doing a book study right now currently on the habits of mind and working on what does it look like to incorporate some of that into our community themes or our monthly themes and our community building and engagement work for next school year. So we're excited about that. We still love, as a whole staff, digging into the hub and sharing experiences and strategies that we're using from the hub in our classrooms, and we really learn best from each other, so we're having time to talk with each other about what that looks like in our classrooms. And then lastly, we have great work already with our interventions, and we're really looking forward to some of the work with Heather and the ILC on incorporating more of the multi-tiered systems of support to expand some of that intervention to really look at students holistically and support some of their learning and executive functioning skills as well. So it's been a great year. The first year was great, and the second one's been even better. So thank you all for having me here today. I have time for questions if you have any, and I appreciate your time.
I just wanted to say thank you. That was an excellent report. I really appreciate all the detail you provided, and I especially love hearing the story about the student and their experience with reading. So thank you for sharing that as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Julia and Libby and Lindsay. Thank you so much. We appreciate your building this and interaction with us.
Great. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So next we will have approval of minutes, and all of us will entertain a motion on January 14th. Yes, approved and seconded, that we approved January 14th.
May I entertain a motion? Thank you. For approval of that special meeting. With that, all in favor? That motion carries. Thank you. With 2 abstentions. And finally, for the February 4, 2025 meeting, we have 1 abstention. And may I entertain a motion for that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? None opposed. Well, one abstention. Thank you so much. Next, we'll move to our Board of Education reports from our Monroe County School Board Association. We will have a brief speech from Sarah Felucio.
Thanks, Robin. I just wanted to share some highlights from the legislative breakfast that we had earlier in the month. So at our last meeting, we had just had the breakfast, and I hadn't had time to go through all the notes, but I've completed all of that. We had a lot of great information from our table conversations, and just some of the highlights. The universal meals proposal that is in the governor's budget, our state legislator feels that that is very likely to go through this year, so we're looking forward to seeing that all the way through, and then we will look at what that means for our own district here. Foundation aid, the formula revisions that they, from the Rockefeller Institute study, it's kind of the low-hanging fruit, as that's what they're calling it right now, that they have put forth as far as changes. So hoping that there are more revisions to come over time with that. And one of our students, we had 5 students again present at breakfast, and one of them chose to focus on mental health. And I just wanted to share, it was a very impactful speech that she gave. She said, you can't schedule needs for a certain time or day. They need full-time access to services. And that was just a very powerful message that she was able to share, and something that's sticking with me as we look to, I'm hearing from Elizabeth tonight and Shayna, just the supports that are needed there. So I'm hoping that we can continue to work to provide services to our students who need them. And then the other item that came out of that breakfast was the increased support for delaying the mandate to transition to zero-emissions buses. At this time last year, there were a few of our members of the state legislature who felt that the transition could succeed in the timeline outlined, but that has changed. So now all of our local delegation is in support of delaying the mandate. And then just last week, we met with a representative from Congressman Morelli's office, and they shared with us that there's a letter that was just sent to Governor Hochul on behalf of Congress that is asking her to reconsider the mandate's timeline and allow for a more gradual transition. So as we go to Albany next week, we are gearing our conversations there towards this, in particular related to transportation. So although all the signs indicate that the mandate will have a delay, the timeline will be delayed, we don't have any concrete information on that yet. So we're really looking to have that before making any decisions or plans moving forward. We currently have 10 meetings scheduled within a 3-hour period next Monday, so we have a lot of ground to cover in a short amount of time. Still waiting to confirm 2 meetings, but hopeful that will work out. But either way, we have a lot of work ahead of us next Monday. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Robin, can I just comment on part of that? So it's interesting with the electric buses. This year we had worked with the district planning team and even the Board of Education at different points, sharing that more than likely we would put 2 electric buses up in a proposition during the budget vote this year. And given the bipartisan nature of what seems to be happening right now, that this may be kicked down several years as far as a potential mandate. We're going to just need to discuss a little bit further the reality of if we do put any electric buses up this year, or do we wait? The concern again has always been the cost and the infrastructure, and given that. And part of our reason of doing that this year was to put our toes in the water a little bit and get a sense of what the infrastructure and the buses would feel like for us. Only out of concern that this was going to happen in a shorter time frame. But if it's going to be a longer time frame, I think we just need to discuss in another workshop whether or not we want to continue with those 2 buses, or if we want to move that to the following school year. Thank you.
Thank you. So next we'll move to dates to remember. On March 6th, there's a board visit tour at Calkins Road Middle School, and by a show of hands, may I see who will be able to attend? Thank you. We look forward to that visit. And our next regularly scheduled meeting will be March 11. And we're moving on to our financial report from Mr. Vespi.
All right, very good. Thank you. First for your consideration is the quarterly extra classroom activities report. You can see in the report disbursement activity in the first quarter of the year. Always excited to see that activity because I know there's lots of fun activities and good things happening for kids, especially at our high schools. But nothing significant to report from that report.
Thank you. By a show of hands, first may I have a motion for the quarterly extra classroom activities report, second quarter? Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Are there questions? Hearing none, all in favor? None opposed, thank you. Mr. Vespi.
All right, next for your consideration is the State Environmental Quality Review Act resolution for the energy performance contract. Again, no significant impact from an environmental standpoint. The work is mostly the replacement of lights to LED standards and upgrades. There is the inclusion of a potential solar project. It would be a rooftop project at Mendon Center Elementary, but additional engineering studies need to be done on that. And then the sealing of some building envelope work and some heat pumps. And building envelope is just a fancy way to say insulation. So I looked back, and we started talking about this in November of 23, and it's really been a long time going. And it's a good time to take advantage of a project in coordination with some of the other, construction work that we have. So it's also a great time, I think, in terms of, perhaps some of the future fiscal challenges that I outlined previously, to look at energy savings. And there's significant energy savings here. And as you know, the company, the energy services company, has to guarantee those savings over an 18-year period, which is why that allows the Board of Education to take action. So the first step is to vote on the seeker resolution, and then separately in the next resolution would be the actual approval of the contract itself.
Thank you. So with both of these, after we get the motion and the second, it will be a roll call vote. So you'll hear your name and move from there. So may I first have a motion for the energy performance contract secret resolution? So moved. Thank you. Are there questions? Okay. Hearing none. Dave Burke? Yes. Jeffrey Casey?
Yes.
Thank you. Emily Kay?
Yes.
Sarah Pelucio?
Yes.
Renee Sanchez Casacos?
Yes.
Robin Scott, yes. So that motion carries. All in favor? Thank you. None opposed. So the next is a motion to approve the energy performance contract.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. No. David Burke?
Yes.
Thank you. Jeffrey Casey?
Yes.
Emily Kay?
Yes.
Sarah Pelucio?
Yes.
Renee Sanchez Casacos?
Yes.
And Robin Scott. That motion carried. Oh,
I thought I missed my name the first time. I'm yes for both.
thank you so much, Kim. My apologies.
Okay, all
So
set?
that motion carries. We appreciate you.
All right, and the final item that I have, and I can't forget it 2 meetings in a row, just for discussion only, is we do provide a copy based on policy 5411, the professional services policy procurement. we provided a copy of every contract that we have with the dollar amount in the district for your review. Again, my apologies for not mentioning that. It was on the last agenda, and I just wanted to make sure that if there was any discussion or questions, we're happy to, answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vespi. Next, we will have our Human Resources report from Mr. Clark.
Thank you and good evening. First, for your consideration, we have the professional staff report. We have one administrator appointment, who you've already met, one certificated staff appointment, one SRP appointment from part-time to full-time, 2 teacher fellow appointments, 1 teacher resignation, and we have spring coaching salaries for you as well.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the professional staff report? Thank you. Are there questions? Hearing none. All in favor? None opposed. That motion carries.
Thank you very much. Next for your consideration is the support staff report. We have 1 clerical appointment, 1 custodial appointment, 2 custodial resignations, and 1 food service resignation.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the support staff report? Thank you. Are there questions? Hearing none. All in favor? None opposed. That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, for your consideration is the approval of a new position with the title Coordinator of Special Programs and Services, with a theme as we continue to receive retirements and resignations. We evaluate the needs of staffing. With a recent resignation that will be coming up at the end of the school year, we see an opportunity to better support our special education department. You've previously approved the occupational therapists and physical therapists. This position would help support that role as well as many other roles, including serving as the principal of the summer school program. The position would come at we're anticipating between a $10,000 and $15,000 cost savings moving and transitioning to this position, which would be paid through federal funds. The job description and the justification are in the board packet, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the position of Coordinator of Special Education Programs and Services? Thank you. Any questions? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we will have a special education report. Ms. Woods.
The committee recommendations are on the consent agenda this evening.
Thank you. And now we will hear from our superintendent, Mr. Bureau.
Thank you. We will need an executive session this evening to discuss proposed litigation and additionally the employment of a particular person.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the call for executive session? Okay. All in favor? Unopposed. Thank you.
Next for your consideration is a field trip approval to Orlando, Florida for Sutherland High School softball.
May I have a motion to accept the field trip approval to Orlando, Florida, Sutherland High School softball? So moved. Okay. Any questions? Okay, then all in favor? That motion carries. Thank you.
I would just add, is there any Sutherland High School softball players out here? Okay. If you do not win, then I think you need to reimburse. Next, we have the field trip approval to Houston, Texas, in the event that our robotics team advances to the World Championship in April of 2025.
Okay, may I have a motion to accept the field trip approval to Houston pending advancement to the World Championship? Second. All in favor? Thank you. That carries.
Last, I'd like to propose a holiday for the Sutherland High School girls softball in the event they do win, and with a day off for everyone. Can I get a second? We do have on the consent agenda policy approval 5671, Information Security Program, if there's any questions at this point. I would just conclude by saying it's been a great 2 days back. I hope everyone had a great vacation. Hope all of our students are doing great and smiling and ready for a long March. This is where we really have to grind it out, right? Best behavior, do well, and grind it out. We do have a 60th Urban Suburban ceremony that is on March 20th. That is being held at the Memorial Art Gallery from 5:30 to 8-ish. I'm going to ask our school foundation to purchase a table of 10 for that event. I'll send an email to the board tomorrow to see who might be available. So again, that's March 20th, 5:30 to 8. If you can see if that works for you, that'd be great. And if not, that's okay. So if we have 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, whatever's left over, I will then go next to our central office team. And then I've also worked with Felicia at the Urban Suburban department to see if there's any students that might need funding or parents that want to go that they can't afford it. So I'll send you an email tomorrow, and we'll go from there. With that, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mike. Next, may I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? None opposed. That motion carries. So is there old business? And we do have new business. And we will hear from Mike Vesby.
Thank you so much. Yes, I got a call last week where we had about 100 pages of an addendum that was issued for our capital project bids. So those bids were scheduled to be opened on Thursday, and I felt that it was prudent, after I checked with Mr. Pirro, felt that it was prudent that we shift that bid date back to March 5th. Our next meeting is on the 11th. We won't have enough time between the 5th and the 11th to fully vet those potential contracts to award those. So there's a request for consideration of a special board meeting just to approve the bids sometime the 17th, 18th, or 19th of March. That would be the best time frame because it would keep us on our intended start date schedule. But we don't want to delay it until the 8th, so we would just need a very brief meeting on one of those days. So just wanted to check in and have any feedback in terms of that.
And that special board meeting can be at any time. So we'll have Deb send something out to see what would work best. But it could be anything as early as 7:30, 8 a.m. We could do something at 4 p.m. We could do something at noon. So again, this is something that we would need to send out and see what works best for the group.
Thank you very much. And there is no public comment this evening. So may I have a motion for adjournment? All in favor? That motion carries. Thank you.
Great job.